Yeah. Genes. Excellent. Yeah. 100%. So I got my freckles from my dad, right? And then I got my green eyes from my mom. So those are the genes that I inherited. Absolutely. I love that. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Yoselin. You rock. Okay, so with that, as always, please don't share any personal information. Remember to keep your behavior, language, and webcam school appropriate and respectful at all times. Always, always know that your participation is so, so important. Can't stress it enough. The more you participate, the more you get out of class, the more you get out of class, the better your grade's going to be. And that just is going to make everybody happier. And then always remember that Class Connect sessions are recorded and distributed for learning purposes. Today is February 3rd. Guys, what the heck happened to January? I'm not sure. It just disappeared. And so yesterday we took our Unit 4 exam. If you haven't yet taken that, make sure you get that taken. Today we are starting our last unit of the trimester, and it's on inheritance. So notice we've only got 16 days left in Tri 2. So craziness, right? It's almost done. So this is Unit 5. And again, it is all about inheritance. We're going to start off with Mendelian genetics, work through some of those problems, go through meiosis and sexual reproduction, and then we'll wrap it up with pedigrees. Notice that there are 3 TGAs in this unit. Hey, Sophia, how are you? I hope you're doing well. The first TGA in this unit is Happy Taco Tuesday. The first TGA is the Punnett Square practice. And then notice that we have a Unit 5 article assignment. So you've already done one article assignment. There is going to be another one. And then the last TGA of the trimester is going to be this Unit 5 exam. Okay. Hey, Natalia, so good to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so today we are going to introduce Gregor Mendel, explain and talk about his experiments and what they showed about heredity. We're going to define some key genetic terms and predict how traits are passed from parents to offspring using Mendel's principles. Okay, so I have put the link to your notes in the chat. Go ahead and open those up. Click OK on question number 1, and then let me know when you're ready to get started. Okay. Chriselle, welcome, welcome, welcome. So good to see ya. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Bella, Brooklyn, Haley, Kimberly, Jenna, Chriselle, Madison, Nathan, Yoselin, Sophia. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Natalia, Mike, ready? Perfect. Amazeballs. We are there. So, Gregor Mendel was a Australian monk who loved to garden. And he started experimenting with plants, in particular with pea plants. And he started noticing that traits seemed to pass down from one generation to the next, following some particularly predictable patterns. So he formed the foundation of modern genetics and is now known as the father of genetics. Okay. Thank you, Yoselin, Sophia, Nathan, Natalia. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Madison, Jenna, Kimberly, Haley, Brooklyn, Bella, Chriselle, Mike, you ready? You good? Okay. So now I will say that Gregor Mendel, he did his experiments in the 1800s, and we have learned so much more about genetics since then. So this is just, we're focusing on what he learned, right? And we'll kind of talk about what we've learned since then, and include some of that as well. But genetics, the field of genetics has exploded, okay? So why did he use pea plants in particular? And that's because they have some very, very easily observable traits, including color of flowers, seed shapes and seed color, plant height. All these things were super easy for him to observe and record the results of his experiment. And he discovered that these traits followed predictable patterns from one generation to the next. Okay. Thank you, Bella, Haley, Kimberly, Jenna, Madison. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yoselin, Sophia, Natalia, Nathan. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Chriselle. Brooklyn, Mike, ready? You good? Awesome. Thank you. Okay. So, some of the things that Mendel learned. First thing he learned was that traits are controlled by what he called factors. Okay. Now, today we know these factors are genes, okay? Small pieces of DNA that code for a specific protein, okay? He also figured out that each parent gives one gene for every trait. So for example, if I'm talking about the color of my eyes, I'm going to get one gene, one allele from my mom, and I'm going to get one from my dad, okay? And he also discovered that one of these factors, one allele, can mask another. And that led to his law of dominance, okay? So the combination of genes that you inherit from your parents determines your overall physical traits. Hey, Micah. Okay. Thank you for letting me know. I appreciate it. I hate that you're sick. Yep. So sorry. Okay. Thank you, guys. Chriselle, you good? Ready? Awesome. Perfect. Okay. So that's question number 4. Okay. Now, question number 5 is matching, and you've got some terms here that are going to take just a little bit for you to get copied down and make sure you match them up. Okay. So, hey, Kendall. So a gene, right? A gene is that small section of DNA that codes for a trait. Okay. An allele is a version of that gene. So for example, eye color. I could have an allele for brown eyes, blue eyes, green eyes, hazel eyes, right? So an allele is just the options, the possible traits you might inherit, okay? The genotype is the genetic makeup of an individual. And we write the genotype using letters, capital letters and lowercase letters, okay? The phenotype is what I can physically see, okay? So that physical appearance, that is the phenotype. So if I were talking about eye color, okay, and somebody had brown eyes, that would be a phenotype. Then I've got dominant alleles. Remember that dominant alleles are going to be that version of the gene that is going to mask any other allele, okay? And it's the one that you would see in the phenotype if that person had a dominant allele. The recessive allele is going to be hidden unless there's two copies there, okay? Chriselle, you good? Ready? Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Yoselin, Sophia, Nathan, Natalia. Thank you. Madison, Kimberly, Jenna, Kendall, Chriselle, Haley, and Bella. You guys are all amazing. Perfect. Okay, so remember, we've learned a lot since Mendel, right? So when I talk about dominant and recessive genes, know that there are many other types of gene interactions other than dominant and recessive. But right now, we're just going to focus on Mendelian genetics. So a dominant allele is always going to be represented by a capital letter, okay? And it's going to be expressed, that protein is going to be made, and we're going to see that observable trait even if there's only one copy of that allele. The recessive trait only is going to be present in the phenotype when both alleles are recessive, okay? So, for example, brown eyes and blue eyes, right? We talked about the protein that creates, the gene that creates the protein melon, right? The more melon that is produced, the darker the eyes, the less melon, the lighter the color of the eyes, right? So if you have the gene for brown eyes, you're going to have the genotype with a capital B, and your body is going to make a lot of melon, and you're going to have brown eyes. If you have blue eyes, your genotype is going to be little b, little b. Hey, Mate, so good to see you. Little b, okay? You'll produce less of that melon, and you'll have blue eyes, okay? Always remember, though, that dominant and recessive just talks about what's going to be expressed. It doesn't mean one is better than the other or one is worse than another. It's just what you're going to see in the organism's traits, okay? Natalia, you doing okay? Chriselle, ready? Thank you, Nathan, Yoselin, Sophia. Thank you. Bella, Brooklyn, Haley, Chriselle, Jenna, Kendall, Madison, Kimberly. Awesome. So good to see you guys. Okay. So that is number 6. Okay. So, more vocabulary here. Okay. Homozygous and heterozygous, right? Anytime you see the word homozygous, homo means same. So if you see the word homozygous dominant, that means the same 2 dominant alleles. And again, dominant alleles are represented by capital letters, right? If you ever see the word homozygous recessive, again, you should think same two recessive alleles. So those are going to be lowercase little b, right? The prefix hetero, though, hetero means different. Okay. So anytime there's a heterozygous, you are going to have different alleles. You're going to have one dominant and one recessive. And so your genotype would be a capital B and a lowercase b. Okay. If you are heterozygous, remember that your phenotype, the phenotype, is always going to be that dominant trait, right? Okay. Even though there's that recessive allele, what you're going to see is that dominant trait. Okay. Okay. Thumbs up. You're good with question number 7. Thumbs down. You need a little bit more time. Thank you, Bella. Thank you, Haley. Thank you, Yoselin, Sophia. Thank you, Jenna and Nathan. You guys are amazeballs. Thank you, Natalia. Okay, so Mendel, again, doing all these experiments with his pea plants, he noticed these patterns. And these predictable patterns, he could use math. Haley, hang on to that question. I'll answer that in just a second, okay? So Mendel noticed that these predictable patterns, he could use math. He could use ratios and percentages to predict the number of offspring that would have these traits. He noticed one of these predictable patterns is a 3-to-1 ratio. When you cross 2 heterozygous plants, you're going to have 3 that have dominant traits and 1 that will have a recessive trait. So if you have a bunch of babies from 2 heterozygous plants, 75% of these organisms, 75% of the offspring will have that dominant trait, and only 25% are going to have that recessive trait. Okay, now, while you guys remember on question number 8, pick 3-to-1. Do not pick 1-to-3. That would be wrong. 3-to-1. Okay, so question in the chat box was, is little b for all colored eyes other than brown, or does each color have a different letter? Which is a phenomenal question, Haley. Okay, so you remember me telling you that we've learned a lot since Mendel, right? Eye color is one of the things that we've learned a lot more about. Eye color is not just a simple dominant recessive trait. Okay. So dark brown eyes and blue eyes is controlled by that OC2 gene that we talked about in, that we talked about in our last unit. But there's variations, right? Sometimes we have light brown eyes, sometimes we have green eyes, sometimes we have hazel eyes. And have you ever noticed, have you ever seen somebody with 2 different colored eyes? That's called heterochromic, right? So we've learned a lot since Mendel. And eye color is called polygenic, meaning there's more than just one gene that controls our eye color. So, yeah, it's a lot more complicated than a simple dominant and recessive. Okay. Does that kind of answer your question a little bit? Yeah, good. But that is a great question. And I'm so thankful that you brought that up. Yeah. So Haley and Sophia, you guys rock. Perfect. Okay. So question number 8. Everybody good? Matei, you good? Ready? Chriselle, you good? Thank you, Bella, Brooklyn, Haley, Kendall, Jenna, Kimberly, Madison, Natalia, Nathan, Yoselin, Sophia. Awesome. Perfect. Amazeballs. Okay, now tomorrow we're going to start doing some simple Punnett squares. You probably did some in middle school, okay? And I just want to brush up a little bit on fractions and percents, okay? Remember that if you ever have 100%, right? That would be like saying a fraction 4 out of 4 or 1, right? The decimal form of 100% is easy. I take my decimal point and I move it over 2. And so I get the decimal 1.0, right? Okay, so easy peasy, lemon squeezy. If I see the fraction 3/4, what I want you to think about is money. Oh, that's another great question, Sophia. Hang on to that. Let me get through this slide and the next slide, and then I'll answer that question. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So 3/4. What I want you to think about is money. Okay. A dollar bill, right? $1 is 4 quarters. 4 quarters, right? So if I have 3/4, right? 3/4, that is 75 cents, right? And as a decimal, I would write 0.75, right? So if I need to change that to a decimal, remember, I take that decimal and I move it over twice, and that would be 75%. Yep. There you go. Okay. Now, let's look at this. 2/4, I can simplify to 1/2, but that is still the same exactly is 2/4 is 50 cents, right? And if I move those over 2 points, that is 50% exactly. So what is 1/4? What's the decimal? Tell me in the chat box. What's the decimal? Oh, Sophia gave me the percentage. Yes. The percentage is 25%. So my decimal exactly is 0.25. Exactly. Perfect. So tomorrow, you'll need to be able to do this part. Go from fraction to percentage pretty easily in your head. That's why I wanted to review it today. Okay. Now, here's one more thing that I'm going to answer a question from the chat box before I do this one. Okay. So here's the question. When we're young, we have a specific eye color, and most cases it changes as we grow. Why does that happen? Okay, so mammals, this actually only happens in mammals. Did you know that? If you have a lizard or a bird, it doesn't happen. But mammals are born with a light colored eyes. A lot of babies are born with blue or gray eyes. And the reason for that is because of that OC2 gene that produces melanin. That protein really isn't made until after a baby is born. So that's why their eyes get darker as they get older. So there you go. There's your answer. Okay. Yeah. Great question though. I love it. It is so cool. Love biology. Okay. So did you have blue eyes? That is cool. Yeah. Very cool. Both of my kids, they now have brown eyes, but they were both born with blue. And I remember, but my husband had brown eyes, and I was like, there's no way that they're blue eyes. Yeah. Okay. So again, here is a review. Okay. If big H is dominant, capital H is dominant, we're going to have green, and the allele little h is recessive, we'll have yellow. So we have to figure out the genotype and the phenotype for these three terms. Okay, you're ready, ready, ready? Here's homo. Remember, homo means same. So if I have two same dominant genotype, I'm going to look up here and I'm going to have big H, right? If I have homozygous recessive, remember that means same. So if it's recessive, that's little h's. So little h, little h. Okay. Now tell me in the chat box, and I need at least 2 or 3 people in the chat box. What color is big H, big H? Oh, Kendall, you're going to answer my next, hang with that one. Yeah. Yes. Sophia, Yoselin, exactly. Green, green, Haley. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All of you are on fire, on fire. Okay. Now, what color is my homozygous recessive? What color is homozygous recessive? Yellow. Sophia, Haley, yes, absolutely. Yoselin, awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Now, okay, Kendall has already answered this one, and she's absolutely 100% right. Hetero means different. So tell me in the chat box, what is my genotype? Sophia, absolutely. What is my genotype for heterozygous? If hetero means different. Yeah, Kendall and Sophia. Big H, little h, exactly. Okay. Kendall, he rocks. Sophia. Yeah. Okay. So now in the chat box, tell me, what is the phenotype? What is the phenotype of heterozygous? Kendall, what do you think? Sophia, what do you think? Haley, Yoselin. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Green. It is green because this dominant allele, the green allele, is going to mask the yellow allele, right? Remember, I'm not going to cross that out because it's still there, right? It's still there. It's just going to mask it. Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. Thank you, thank you, thank you, guys. Okay, now question number 9. Question number 9. Tall is dominant and short is recessive. What genotype will make a short plant? Tell me, tell me, tell me. Is it A, B, C, or D? Sophia, on money. Haley, absolutely. Okay. Jenna, yes. Haley, yes. Nathan, yes. Absolutely. 100%. Okay. Brooklyn, Bella, Kershell, Kimberly, Madison, Kimberly, yes. 100%. Bella, yes. Okay. Yoselin, what do you think? Mate, Mike, what do you think? Bella, Madison, yes. Absolutely. Okay. So double check. The correct answer is D. Good job. Good job. Kendall, rocking it. Absolutely. Bella, Jenna, Madison, Haley, Kimberly, you're all rocking it. Thank you, Nathan, Natalia, Sophia, Yoselin. Yeah, absolutely. Little t, little t. Remember, for it to have that recessive trait, it has to be homozygous recessive, right? Okay, here is question number 10. This time, discovered that traits are controlled by pairs of genes. Okay, which of the following describes this idea? Is it A, B, C, or D? Haley, yes. Kendall, yes. Jenna, yes. Bella, yes. Madison, yes. Yoselin, yes. Okay. Natalia, Nathan, Sophia, what do you think? Kimberly, what do you think? Nathan, yes. Absolutely. Yeah, Sophia. Yep, yep, yep. Great job, guys. Yeah, it is B. Each parent gives one allele. That's why there's pairs. I get one from mom and one from dad. Awesome. Good job. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Perfect. Okay, now, just sort of a recap. Remember, Mendel is the father of genetics. He created the foundation for modern genetics. We've learned a lot since then, but he truly gave us the get-go. Traits are controlled by genes because I get one from each parent. Dominant alleles mask recessive ones. Genotype just tells me what alleles I have, and they are represented by capital and lowercase letters. Phenotype is my physical description, right? And then inheritance follows predictable ratios and patterns. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Bella, Haley, Kendall, Jenna, Kimberly. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Madison, Sophia, Nathan, Yoselin. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Matei, Mike, good. Chriselle, Brooklyn, ready, ready, ready? I think we did it, my friends. We did it, we did it, we did it. We finished, woohoo! 5A notes. Go ahead and get those turned in. Yeah, I know, right? Yay, finally. So let me know how you're feeling, okay? We talked about Gregor Mendel's experiments and what they showed about heredity. We defined key genetic terms, including gene, allele, dominant, recessive, genotype, phenotype, homozygous, and heterozygous. And we predicted how traits are passed from parents to offspring using Mendel's principles. If you are feeling okay, if you're feeling pretty good with that, you, my friends, are done and you are free to leave. I hope you have a lovely, lovely day. If you have questions, hang around and I hopefully can help you. Okay.